Dear participants, I extend a warm welcome on behalf of Citizen Education Society and Citizen Institute of Technology, students and faculty fraternity. We are entered into the fourth day of this ATAL-sponsored 5-day workshop on cybersecurity. You have all enjoyed a fabulous speech from our resource persons since 3 days. Today we have another pioneer in the field of cyber forensic and cybersecurity domain, Sri Chandrasekhar Reddy. Sir, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. Good morning, Andy. Good morning to everybody.
I extend warm welcome to Sri Chandrasekhar Reddy on behalf of Citizen Education Society, Citizen Institute of Technology, faculty and student fraternity. I request Dr. Aparna Madam to introduce our resource person. Madam, I kindly request you to take over the session to introduce our resource person, Sri Chandrasekhar Reddy, to our participants.
Hello.
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. You are audible.
Okay. Dear participants and my dear colleagues, good morning one and all. It is my immense pleasure to introduce the resource person for today's sessions, Sri Chandrasekhar Reddy. Sri Chandrasekhar completed his graduation from BITS, Pilani in 2001. He did the first IPv6 remote security project for Unix systems in the year 2000 and presented to Computer Systems Department at BITS. Sri Chandrasekhar Reddy is interested in cybersecurity research and education. His experience includes working on information and network security, exploit and malware research, wireless security, web security, email security, cyber forensics and compliance. He educates government officials, college students, and various corporate technical analysts on latest security concepts and helps them in dealing with day-to-day challenges in information and infrastructure security, along with system administration troubleshooting. Sri Chandrasekhar has more than 19 years of experience in corporate industry, where he was involved in various critical project executions. His latest cybersecurity startup, Cognor, which specializes in making critical systems completely unhackable by any external and internal threats. After 1 year of operations, it was acquired by US company. Now he started his next cybersecurity startup called CSCC Labs Private Limited. So with this brief introduction, I wholeheartedly welcome Mr. Chandrasekhar Reddy for today's sessions of the workshop. In the first session, he will be enlightening us on current trends in malwares and APT attacks. Sir, it's our honor to have you as the resource person for today's sessions, and I request you to take over the session. Thank you one and all. Sir, please.
Thank you, ma'am, and good morning to all participants. I know usually the first sessions and the last sessions are a little different, but to make it interesting, I'm just sharing my screen. I hope if it is visible, I will just start.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Good. So, okay. So, as ma'am introduced, I've been working in cybersecurity for last close to 20 years. Since my college days, starting from hacking to moving into security field for last close to 20 years. What I'll be doing in the first session today for next one hour plus is I'll just take you through couple of the trends in the malwares and the advanced persistent threats, and also give you some pointers typically where you can go on a daily basis and get knowledge or understand how these trends are changing, especially from the hack forums and the government and other researchers. So what I will do is, because this session is not too much of demos you will see, but definitely in the next two sessions you will see some kinds of hands-on demos and videos to basically to understand different type of tools and techniques we use on a day-to-day basis for multiple reasons, maybe for incident handling and other things, attack simulation and all. Okay, so we are going to concentrate on the current trends in malware, and also we are going to talk about the advanced persistent attacks and some type of the campaigns which are happening in that space for last decade. And you will also try to understand why these campaigns are increasing, and we will also talk a little bit about, either in this session or the upcoming session, how we can completely prevent or we can secure ourselves. So there are ways how we can secure ourselves, especially from this kind of targeted attacks and this kind of a traditional fileless and typical obfuscated malwares. Okay, so what is malware? So it's very important to understand malware is nothing but a program. Example, so I'll just take 2-3 minutes to give you a very basics of these things so that you will remember this. This concept properly. In any computer, first of all, forget about malware or virus and all those things. In any computer, ultimately, anything good or bad can happen only when a process starts. Example, currently I'm using Cisco WebEx application, right? So the same way we use Chrome browser, we use Notepad, we use PowerPoint. So all those things, if you see, those are nothing but different applications. So only when application runs in the computer, something good or bad can happen. So when I say good means, example, right now the Cisco WebEx application is basically allowing us to connect to all of us, where we can share audio, video, and screens. So, but the Cisco WebEx application, the process only comes into effect when it's running state. If it is not running, then there is no use. It is nothing but a simple file sitting on the disk. So the same way goes to Notepad. Example, if you click on any .txt file, the .txt files itself has nothing. They are supposed to be opened by Notepad because the default application which is actually tied to open is notepad.exe. So notepad.exe, which resides in C Windows /system32 folder, basically takes that specific file as an argument and opens it and reads that content and show it to you. So what is important in any computer is only when a process runs, something good or bad happens. So in case of malware is also a program which has to run in a computer, but typically these malwares run in a computer without the permission of the person who is using the computer, or he do not want that application to be running in the computer because sometimes he has no knowledge that it is running, because when I send a document to you, PDF to you, when you visit a website, when you plug a USB drive, or when hackers basically attack your network, they try to laterally move in your network. So they start running these processes. Typically, one of the important factor of any malware is it is not visibly, it won't be visible to the end user. It will be running in the computer in an invisible mode. Example, when you open a Notepad, it actually shows up. But when a malware is running, it actually shows up in the computer, but it is not visible to you. It is running as a process silently. So only when a process runs, you can read some files, you can delete some files, you can access anything in the computer at the hardware level or at a file system level. So that's why the malware functionality versus any application functionality, it is not too different. It is almost same. Example, the Cisco WebEx, currently I'm sharing my screen. It is the camera is basically taking my feed, and the mic is listening to me. I mean, my audio is getting streamed. The same things which are done by a malware without my intention or my permission, that's where the whole difference is. It is with intention or without intention. And here I can see everything, there I can't see everything. So it's malware is a malicious software. It can do any of those activities on the file system or hardware or things like that. So that's the whole thing. And if you see, obviously the whole statistics around why these malwares are increasing and they are going up. I mean, it's very clearly evident that people are moving towards into computerization more and more. If you look at in last 6 to 8 months also, especially in education sector and healthcare sector, our day-to-day services, most of things are moved into the, I mean, people started getting into more mobile oriented, more computer oriented. Now we're all on the internet now. So as the usage of anything goes up, there is something for hackers to really take advantage of. It may be personal information gathering, it may be taking or stealing some kind of money or confidential data, whatsoever. So the reasons can be anything. The whole goal is basically they wanted to take something from you which you don't want them to take it without your permission. So there are multiple categories in this whole malware. Though the high level malware is nothing but a malicious software. So there are droppers, credentials, stealers, ransomwares. As you know, when the system gets infected, it will encrypt all your files in the file system, and it will basically shows up a screen saying that unless you pay some bitcoins or some kind of money, we will not give you the decryption key. So they try to halt your day-to-day operations, especially when people do not have backup of the live systems. This is where they take advantage. So a lot of POS systems, especially the ATMs, or when you go to any retail stores, the POS systems, the point of sales, and the back doors. So especially on mobile phones, computers, people install these malwares and they wanted to keep those malwares for a longer duration so that they can continuously have access to the system and either steal the information or put some data on the system or use that as a starting point to get into the more network. So there are multiple categories. It is just a name, and just you can see the percentage of these malwares which are specifically spread across in the world. The backdoors are definitely high, and all other things also there, but they are not that high. But again, it all depends on the purpose of the hacker, what he is trying to do. And so there are also, as I said, every malware is an application. So how how they get into the system? If you look at it, these are, if you look at the highest percentage, 70% is PE. The PE is nothing but portable executable, which is like a binary basically. If it is a Mac, you have a Mac binary. If it is a Windows, we call it as exe. If it is a Linux, it is a executable permission file. That's it. The similar way, scripts is nothing but when you visit a website, JavaScripts or any other type of scripting languages they use to basically pop up some kind of malicious pop-ups to steal some sensitive data, maybe passwords, maybe cookies, things like that. And web shells are nothing but website gets hacked. They try to put a file on the website. It may be php.aspx, whatever file, whatever the web server basically allows the parsing. They use that as a backdoor to get into the website and run certain kind of commands and steal some data. So same way, .NET is again one more language where we use, like C, C++. .NET is also one language where people use to create binaries and executables for Windows platforms especially. So this is just a high level information to just give you a sense that most of these things are executables, either scripts or web shells. That's how these malwares are basically, the families are seen at a high level. So what is accessibility? Basically, how these malwares are really, who develops it and how they basically operate, the mode of operandi. Typically, these malwares are written by an advanced programmers, though they do not have the skills to infect themselves, but typically they create these malwares. We call it as a CNC servers as well as the payload. So command and controller is a backend server. Payload is basically something which delivers to the end user where they want to infect. So these kind of things, they do it for two purposes. One is for R&D purpose, which are typically available free of cost. I will show you where they're available. If you wanted to make your students or yourself wanted to play with that, you can go ahead and create these things for education purpose. And private means typically these are very sensitive, very difficult to be detected by any existing antivirus or any security solutions, including firewalls to EDR or any other technologies, because they are not heavily distributable. They are kept it at a very private, and they sell it in the dark web, hack forums, or governments, or to a specific people, so that they monetize it at much higher. Sometimes they sell the CNC command and control centers as a service, so that you don't have to maintain the CNC service. They maintain it in their side, and they give you the payload. So you infect the people, they just appear on the on the CNC server. You can access it. Maybe in the next 1 or 2 meetings, the next upcoming meetings, I'll show you some of those CNC servers and dashboards. So, but typically these are two things. R&D purpose and private. And so there's a very important word called obfuscation in this whole malware world. I would like to give you very high level meaning. It's very important because why this whole word came into obfuscation is any sample comes into the internet, be it a script, be it a portable executable, be it a document, be it anything, any data, a file or a executable. There are enough number of people in the world who are trying to take these samples from your computer and put it in their sandbox, where they execute this specific file and see what is happening around it. I'll show you websites in a minute who are doing what they are doing, and examples of all those things. The point is, when they take your sample of this malware and when they put it in their kind of a sandbox environment, how this specific file is behaving in terms of whether this file is trying to access the files on the file system, or whether it is trying to make any network connections to a CNC server, whether it is trying to access your camera, mic, screens, all those things. They try to analyze those things and come to a conclusion whether this is good or bad. And there are multiple ways. I will just show you in a minute. But obfuscation word is basically how you can write this malware. By the way, this both has every single term in these things. What you see, it has both good and bad. Obfuscation we also use, especially let us say you have written a code and you distribute it. You don't want people to reverse engineer that specific binary to understand the logic or the functions you used in the application. Example, the WebEx binary or a Chrome binary. They definitely do not want everybody to understand what kind of DLL files, what kind of functions, how the logic is being written. Because once it is compiled, it is very difficult to get to know exactly how the coding has been done. Unlike in Java, because Java, you can actually get the complete logic back. But in C, C++ and many other languages we use, it is difficult to reverse engineer or get the source code, how the logic has been written. So obfuscation, we also use it in a good way to make sure we will make it tough for the people to reverse engineer, so that your IP and your techniques are not known to people. But in the bad world, the obfuscation is used basically to make sure the security softwares are not going to get to know exactly what you do that easily. That's all. So let me just show you some websites so that you get some idea how these things are typically done. One website definitely I wanted all of you to know is something called Virus Total. So this is one website where you go ahead and you can drop any file here. So let me just drop a file now. Let me just take one file. So just for the sake of it, let us say I take, I wanted to go to my, maybe I will just take one file and upload. And when I say confirm upload, basically Virus Total is owned by Google now. It takes this sample and give to all 70 antivirus vendors. So they have 70 antivirus servers are running with the latest signatures, and it puts that file in those machines. And when the file is being dropped into those machines where these antiviruses are running, does any of those people detect anything in this specific file? Obviously, this is a simple my profile. So it didn't detect anything bad. So around 63 antiviruses participated in this specific scanning, and with the latest signatures, and it gives you what is the hash of the file, and what is the size of the file, and what is the antivirus and what it said. You can clearly see many people did not say anything about it, and also it gives you some basic metadata related information, which is also good, whether it is, even though I say it's PDF, whether it is PDF or not, based on the few characteristics in the MIME type, it determines it, not just by the extension. So that's also a lot of times hackers will try to fool the people by changing the extensions, or make the file extension looks like something different, or by the icon types and all those things. There are many techniques people use to make people to click on those files, or whatever it is. Okay, so it has some more information. So virustotal.com is one thing where you can straight away go ahead and give file to scan without any cost. You can also go ahead and give a URL. Suppose if you see, I'll just show you a very simple thing. There's something called fish tank. Fish tank is a website maintains the latest and the current URLs where the phishing campaigns are running. I'm going to talk about it in a minute anyways. Let us take one of this URL now, and let us say what this URL, it again takes you through multiple engines and try to see if anything bad it finds about it. And in terms of whether somebody is trying to running a phishing campaign where to make you to click on those links, it asks you login password, looks very genuine, looks like a Google form, looks like a Office 365 login, or looks like your banking website, or maybe your Paytm, things like that, and or your college thing, all those things. So if you see here, around 80 scanning engines basically said this URL is good. But let us go to this specific website and try to see what exactly this is. Please click on the HTML content aeroplane. Okay. So they don't want people to. Because they don't want people to automatically use this to crawl. Suppose what this basically do is, okay, there is no screenshot available. I will just take this and put this one directly. So if that website basically is already hosted any malware, it will come. Suppose let me show you some simple one so that you can basically really usually these kind of things are definitely a phishing websites. You can see here they're just trying to, the moment I click on it, something will happen. I don't want to just click on this, but typically these are the examples. Anyways, in our afternoon session, I'm going to live create how to create the phishing links and just basically take you through the whole process. But anyways, yeah, the obfuscation is basically a technique people use to make sure your security software doesn't find the malicious actors so easily. Okay, and there are also a lot of new families getting created. So there is something for last 5 to 6 years or close to a decade, people started talking about the families of these APT attacks, especially we call it as APT groups, where some companies started naming them and say this is China hackers, Russian hackers, or some kind of group in the hackers forum. So there are a lot of families are there, which I'm just going to show you in a minute. Again, because there are websites who are managing and maintaining all these families. So you can see if you're interested, you can go to these websites and look at what are the different families are there. And if you see, these are the ones, APT groups targeting the healthcare sector. So it is called Fin4, Orange Worm, Deep Panda, APT10. Which year they started coming out, and exactly who are the targeted business sectors, and what is their basically motto, or a little bit more information about it, or what is the way how these guys works. I mean, you can see that there are enough government organizations tracking all this information and giving, and in fact, this entire I mean, technical details also being given by many people, especially website. I mean, everybody must know this website called MITRE. It is called the mother of the entire attack frameworks in the world. Basically, this one's basically website maintain thousands and thousands of researchers across the world, and PhD students and security researchers are contributing to this specific matrix. So these attack techniques and tactics in terms of different phases of any attacks. And if an attack has to happen, usually these are the different type of phases: reconnaissance and resource development, initial access, execution, persistence, privilege escalation, defense evasion, credentials, discovery, and collection. So within these specific buckets, what are the different type of I mean, buckets are there, and more information about active scanning. So if you click on that, they basically go and talk about all the different tools they use, what exactly it is, how to detect these things, and whatnot. So this is I call it, this is the mother of the entire attack techniques and framework, starting from reconnaissance to the last collection phase. So this is a great website. It's a non-profit organization, and they also do lot many things. I mean, I highly encourage people to go through these things and understand these techniques, because the world is slowly accepting this one single framework for security threat hunting teams, especially, or even for the anybody is basically developing any software. They simply ask, does your product supports MITRE framework attack techniques, and it's going to detect everything what has been mentioned there, because almost all the attack techniques are being captured here, and if your tool can basically support it, they are really interested to use your product. So there are some top families like the one I showed you. There's something called TrickBot and Empire and Beacon. I mean, there's so many other things are there. I mean, you can go in more details about it. Typically, the families are nothing but how they behave, whether they are web-based, whether they are, they're persistent. The way basically what kind of symptoms they show, and how the mode of operation is basically from infection, basically maintaining access. Based on those things, these families are being created. So let us talk about, so far what are we spoke, even though I just clubbed a little bit about malwares and advanced persistent threats. I think you start getting a gist, and I'm sure these are all everything what you know so far. The only difference between a traditional malwares and advanced persistent threats is, in advanced persistent threats also, ultimately it's a malware, but the whole intention of the malware infecting any system or an organization or an individual is, they wanted to manage the access for a longer duration of time. So they don't want to do a damage of one time. They don't generally do ransomware attacks. They generally don't do password stealing. They don't do those kind of things. They basically take months, sometimes years to basically target some organization or a person or a entity, and then they get into the organization, they infect the systems, and they manage the access till they get the data, or till they do the damage what they really started the whole operation. So that's where the advanced persistent threats are really more sophisticated. They typically happen from the underground hackers and also from sometimes government organizations. So the three high level reasons, the motives of APT is obviously the data infiltration, which they wanted to put some, they wanted to get into your databases and take a lot of data from there, and a lot of extraction and the expansion. So they wanted to use one system which gets impacted to get into multiple systems in your network. By doing it, we call it as a lateral movement. So basically, they just use that one specific machines to go into multiple systems which are generally not directly exposed to the outside world. So these are the three different things they do. And what are different trends which are happening in this APT is, again, I mean, this keeps changing every few months, but definitely some of the names you wanted to know, maybe the shadow pad and the CC cleaner, and so CC cleaner is one application. I'm sure you might have used it, but the same name, the popular name, people, the tool, basically people use that name to create a lot of Trojan horses. They create a lot of clones of the same name and create malwares, so that people, a lot of government agencies, defense people, a lot of sensitive financial organizations, education institutes, pharma R&D teams, they basically use, these kind of famous tools by creating clones and keep a Trojan horses in that applications to infect the sensitive organizations or people. So anyways, I mean, there are multiple technical words have been written here. You can go ahead and look at the keyloggers, and there's something called mimikatz. Basically, mimikatz is basically every Windows system keeps your passwords in a plain text in memory in a process called LSAS. So it's very, if I have access to your system for a few minutes, I can easily extract the plain text passwords of your Windows system. I mean, just type mimikatz, download GitHub. You will be able to download the binary, and you just 2-3 steps, you can easily see your own password, which are being used within the Windows operating system, even in the latest Windows 10. So, I mean, anyways, there are a lot of things has been written here, and these are different trends which are happening in the APT, and a couple of groups, as I mentioned in the previous thing also. There are a lot of groups. It's called APT 10, and the transparent tribe APT groups and all those things. Again, all these groups are clearly mentioned, are tracked by these are the APT 18, 41, 29. The different names are been from where the attacks are getting originated. And because a lot of these countries, if you see from where these are, Russia and a lot of South African countries and all these other countries, the problem is Chinese. The problem is a lot of these countries don't participate in distributing sensitive information or information with other countries. That's why hackers typically use their country to host their servers, or they infect the servers in that country to do further campaigns. So again, I mean, what are the different type of sectors they typically choose, and which year, which sectors are highly targeted? You can see simple the biotechnology, healthcare, and then obviously the pharma and scientific research and consulting firms, because that's where a lot of IP, and that's where a lot of the new technologies are going to get emerged. So people are definitely behind these things to steal that information, to distribute to the competitors or government, or basically misuse, whatever it is. Okay, and who are the different type of groups basically targeted those specific things, and again, what are different stages in those things are clearly mentioned here. But I want to show you one very interesting website. It's called apt.securelist.com. They're managing a very nice year-wise what groups are really there from. If you see this one, they are in the initial stages of developing it, and it came out, and it really continuing it. Example, if you see Shadowhammer, it was there in 2018, and by 2019 it's almost stopped. It is no more there. I mean, if you look at other things, you can click on these things and understand a little bit more of the thing. If you wanted to go to the thread, you can go and look at more information about it. So in terms of how exactly, whether it's an exploit related one, whether it is who are the targeted people and things like that, and additional information. So it's some good information is available there. Okay, so what I wanted to do now is I wanted to take you through a little bit of these websites where typically these collections are managed. If you look at this specific GitHub link, You just go to Google and type APT Cyber Criminal Campaign Collections plus GitHub. GitHub is a source code repository for managing version controls like Bitbucket and GitHub. Typically, any programmers uses it. And this is where they started from 2006-7 types onwards. They started keeping uh, the collections of all the publicly available APT collections. I highly encourage go through it, and in a virtual environment thing, please don't download into your main computer. Download into your virtual boxes and do some kind of research if you are really interested. And a lot of third-party reference URLs has been given. We already see in the MITRE framework and some of these things. But it's good to go through these books and research papers and the resources to understand more in-depth technical understandings about how they've been created and how they are targeted and what's happening going forward. So a lot of information, even the samples are there. So you can download the sample, and if you're interested, you can, what are the different samples that specific year. You can see there are many APT attack related ones. The files are being kept here. You can go ahead and look at these things and download them. Some of them are PDF, some of them are the campaign. The full information is clearly being given. So, a lot of amount of time has gone into this thing. What are the different indicators which they found during the investigation of the specific APT attack campaign? Okay, so this is one space. I always go through a lot of these APT GitHub projects. It's a great place to go ahead and do some research. And there's one very interesting report I saw in intelligentcio.com. You can also just look at the Q1 2020 threat landscape report. If you want, I can anyway share these details and the presentation to the coordinators, and they can distribute these things to you. But typically, Google is the best place to go and search. I think what are the different mode of operandis and how these things are. What is a heavily targeted sector? If you see healthcare, and definitely the banking is there, and then the top enterprises. And also we started seeing a lot of these smart automation of the home devices also getting targeted, especially from the IoT side. The cars and the houses and a lot of our home appliances and lot of farming related ones, where the automation, the smart cities related ones, these IoT is also getting targeted very heavily, because the security related factors in those specific IoT devices are not that extensive. So not only those those less security related aspects are there, also making them to target them. But there is a food on the food for these hackers to get monetize things much faster by disrupting the services, power grids, day-to-day operations which happens in cities and things like that. And from where these things are happening and why it has been unwritten, unknown, is people use a lot of these deep web and Tor browsers or Onion. They use a lot of these VPNs, proxies. Very difficult to really find the source of the target. The source of the attack. So because they use all these techniques, the Tor, proxy, VPNs, and all those things. But some of them are very clearly seen. Ukraine ones, Russian, Vietnams, and Chinese, and North Korea, because there are a lot of people. Doesn't mean that these country names are mentioned that the people in that country are targeting this. So maybe a lot of people from the other countries, people are using these countries as an origin. They are buying the servers from their cloud, which are hosted in these countries. Why these countries? Because those countries generally are very hesitant in sharing the data to governments. So that makes them, the hackers, a little bit more safe. So again, which countries are being attacked already been written, and malware trends very heavily. And so what I wanted to show you is Typically, in education sector, this is what we encourage. We are working with a lot of educational institutes, and this is what we are doing with those people, especially to understand the malwares, APT attacks, and the phishing campaigns. These are the three high level of attack sectors we can consider. We wanted to create a small lab within the educational institute. Example, as you be a professor or a PhD or head of department, you can ask your students to create labs where they can do security assessments and create security operation centers or gather information within your own infra. That way, it is really good because we see that when students really start doing the security assessments by utilizing a lot of free tools available. I'm going to introduce to you in the next two sessions what are the different tools we use, how we use it, and what we can achieve through those tools and the frameworks. And almost all of those tools are freely available. And what kind of different ports are running on the systems, and especially which ports are heavily targeted by the attackers. Especially 23 port is basically for telnet, and 445 especially for your email communication. Sorry, your shares across the network, and SSH for your again, I mean the newer protocol on top of telnet. A lot of SQL related ports and all those things. So I think it's very important for you to understand when you look at these reports, when you make people study these reports, they get a lot of idea how the trends are happening, and so that people can start take advantage of this information and try to do the similar activity. We call it as a red team pen testing, or we call it as a blue team pen testers. So they basically simulate an attack, a type of example. I behave like an attacker of and target the organization, target an individual, target a server, target a service. And if I do that one with all this information, with all the tools which we are going to talk in the next two sessions, the practical sessions, I mean, it is very good that when the real attacker is trying to do it, we are in a much better situation, because a lot of outcomes and open items and the problems, loopholes, what we find in their specific drives, we conduct ourselves, we can basically close all those things much ahead before the real attack happens. Because many times organizations, we generally don't focus on securing it. We only focus on making the sites work, and the functionality related ones and the scalability ones, but we don't really give that much attention to the security. And it's always good. I mean, anyways, I mean, there are a lot of informations. They talked about how the email campaigns happens. Anyways, we are going to see some of these things in our upcoming sessions. How easy it is to create these phishing campaigns, and how they basically use the links and the attachments they basically imbibe into the emails, and how they basically extract the information. In fact, I'm seeing every day I get hundreds of SMSs, WhatsApp messages, LinkedIn requests, Facebook requests, emails. I think it's very, very, very important. In fact, my both kids now do online classes. It's very important to educate these people how important and critical it is not to go to any website what it is not good for them or not required. Because the internet, everything is free, looks like free, but if you just go to one wrong website, one wrong application you download, or one click of the email what you do wrong, or when you reply to some people, I mean, the journey starts from there. Because typically we are all very good. When any unknown person comes to our house, we don't allow them inside. Any if I send you a big package to you without writing what it is in it and without telling who I am, typically we are very good at not accepting those gifts or those packages and people. The same way, if you don't know the person where the mail is coming from, even though a lot of times what people do is they actually attack those people, compromise their accounts, and impersonate them, or basically they use their identity to attack you. So you have to be extremely careful, especially when there is an attachment, links, when they're asking you to send some money or do something. Because these targeted attacks are extremely dangerous, very, very, very difficult to know. I'll just give a simple example to you. Right now, we are going through this cybersecurity 5-day course And let us say somebody understands this thing. If somebody sends a mail to you saying that, oh, the course is going on, we wanted your feedback, please fill in this Google Sheet. You feel that doesn't matter who sends this. You feel it is a very genuine one because it is realistic to the subject right now, what is going on. So you tend to click on it. Then it might ask you your login password in your Google Forms and all those things. You think it is correct. But actually, somebody is misusing the context, like how you see a lot of coronavirus related situation based, or when an accident happens, or when election is going on, the results are coming, and the stock market ones. So people are waiting to utilize those. Those subjects to attack people. So we have to be extremely careful. That's what I'm trying to say. Especially from these malwares and these things. So I want to just introduce you one more website, and then we will try to give a break for the next session. So very important website called any.run. Not many people know about this website, and this is one website we use in our labs on a day-to-day basis. Basically, this is a great website. They give access to you to run any suspicious file in the live sandbox environment. So let me just show you. Maybe if I go to some of these things, if you just look at some of the publications, some of the submissions, what people are doing in the world today. So this is how they looks. Somebody submitted some sample, and which the any.run website ran that specific URL or a software in there. You see, these are the screenshots of the activity, what has been done by those people. And if you look at this right hand side, these are called indicators of compromise. We'll go more deep in our subsequent sessions in terms of how the process execution happened through Firefox. Within those things, what all things are happening, how many file input output operations happened, registry input output operations, how many services DLLs touched. So a lot of sensitive information it gives for you to do research without doing these things on your own machines. Okay, so there are many websites which we will introduce. I will also talk to you, Kali, offensive security download. So this is also one of the very interesting Kali Linux distribution. I'm sure some of you may heard about this thing for sure. This is one thing which we use for our almost all cybersecurity related attacking, securing, forensics, incident analysis, everything. This is a distribution. So this is a distribution which you can download. It's a Ubuntu based Linux distribution. Hundreds and thousands of tools are already been installed on this specific distribution, so that you don't have to really spend hours and days or weeks to download tools from hundreds of websites and create your own lab. This is straightforward. Download the VM ISO image and just up it in minutes. You are ready with the Kali box. And I will also talk to you about which are the sources you can use to read how to use this Kali Linux distribution. Distribution, how to use each and every tool. There's a rich information is available in the internet already. Okay, so I think with some of this information, what we touched upon for last close to 45 minutes to an hour, I think it gave you some content related to what is malware and what is APT attacks, how different type of groups are there, and what are the intentions, and some high level statistics or technical details about these things. I think this is something which I wanted to start today, so that you get some ideas about all these things, because in our subsequent sessions we get into more deeper technical, more practical things. We get into it so that you get an idea basically how when somebody says, oh, my machine got infected, a malware attack happened, or a ransomware attack happened, or some APT attack happened. Now we know what exactly the little technical details a little bit behind that. So that's the whole intention of this first hour session. So what I would like to do is maybe we will take a break, or maybe I will, because there's a little bit more time left. Maybe I can take some of your questions if you have uh, in the content, whatever on the context, whatever we just talked so far, and then we can take a break. So I would like to have some questions if you have anything. So let me just open up my chat. Okay. So if you have any questions, I highly encourage, please, either you can directly ask or you can type. So we can just go through those things. But if you see that, and also I have just shared about our company labs, the R&D labs, whatever we are going through. We are going to publish a lot of our.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, yes.
Sir, it is it is very informative session what you gave. After listening to you, there is a basic question striking in my mind.
Yes.
Technology, is it boon or bane?
So basically, see, I mean, technology is definitely something. Yeah, you can hear me. I think you can hear me, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what I'm saying
Yeah.
is technology is something inevitable. I mean, if you see it, it is going to increase day by day for sure. Because in fact, in next 5 to 6 years, there won't be anything on a day-to-day basis, including if you, I mean, you might already seen it. Even every kid is cannot even live without technology today, because for their entire education is going on technology. Our day-to-day money transactions, our in fact, currently I'm in Hyderabad. The government already moving the entire things onto the, I mean, online services, including registrations. I mean, technology is going to be inevitable. It's not something whether we like it or not. Without that, it is impossible to live going forward. Now, so even the agricultural things, I mean, in fact, we are coming up with a very big new company very soon with a lot of collaboration, where we are going to connect the last person in a village to the topmost guy in any city, where they'll be able to exchange things smoothly with the technology. So technology is definitely an important factor in driving the GDP, and to connect people without any boundaries, all those things. But at the same time, it brings an equal problems also, that it all depends on when I mean, the day we understand the thin line between the both sides of the coin, the both sides of the technology. Just because it is free, unlimited internet, I can go and download any torrent, I can go and browse websites, I can go and download things. Problems comes when you go beyond that dotted line, especially people try to download the fake softwares and things like that, and download cracked ones and things like that. Yeah, somebody saying something.
ಎಷ್ಟು 10 ಲಕ್ಷಕ್ಕ
Hello.
ಮಾಡಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಮಾಡಿ
Hello.
ಹಲೋ
Yeah, I'm hearing somebody talking.
sir, this is Srinivas from RV College of Engineering.
Yeah, Srinivas, please tell me.
I just wanted to know, like, when attacker is using a platform, will he be using the same platform which you people try to use to find out how the attack has happened, or will he be using other platforms? And how do you people come to know that he has used that particular platform itself for attack?
Okay, so typically, see, attackers basically what they do is they use only, there are three type of ways how people create their attack platforms. One is they buy, we call it as a VPC services, VPS servers, VPC services. These are typically the cloud hosted operating systems, Windows, Linux, whatever it is, in AWS, Azure, Google, or there are many web hosting, sorry, the cloud hosting servers are there. You buy there, what is one thing. And second thing is, if some people don't want to buy it, they attack existing network of somebody and try to host their CNC. I talked about CNC, right? Command and control servers in that specific machines, and then they generate the attacks. So generating attack means either they host a phishing campaign, or they send a mail to you from their servers, or they run we call it as a RAT servers. I will show you in our upcoming sessions. It is called remote administration tools, where they run their RAT servers in those machines, so that when somebody downloads the payload or the application, the malware application, they basically attach to that specific CNC server. So how we come to know, especially we have, I mean, in the last company which I created also, the moment you install that specific tool in the computer, it goes through all your running processes, services, network connections, file opens, which process is touching what file. It analyzes all those things and gives a report back to our dashboard server, what is going okay, what is not going okay, and those symptoms we collect. And once we collect those symptoms, and we again look at what is the destination domain IP port they are connecting, and we reverse engineer to the level where we try to figure out who owns that specific domain or IP address. And once that is being figured out, we basically, if it is already a well-known domain, it means somebody hacked that specific website. We go back to those people, again collect a lot of logs from those firewalls and the systems and whatnot, and who basically infected them, and then converted that into a CNC server. So we follow this incident response process, or things like that. It depends, because some people come proactively that, oh, our website is now blacklisted. Why somebody is blacklisting like Google? Because maybe it is sending a lot of mails, a lot of unwanted data, or it is running phishing campaigns. It means somebody hacked that website. So when they come back to us, we basically go through this whole process of forensic analysis and incident analysis and find out those things. Either we remove them and find out the root cause, in fact, who basically infected them and how they infected it, and what was the loopholes available in the network system, or people or insiders cooperated with them, or administrators got hacked. So I mean, we follow some of them, and some of those things we talk in next two sessions.
So what percentage will you be able to identify these kind of attacks and sort of
Percentage, typically, if it is, see the two things, right? One of the goal of any, when we come to know, let us say, a government server is generating a lot of traffic. A government server is basically generating a lot of phishing campaigns. So when we go ahead and look at and do the root cause analysis, or the incident analysis on those network or machines, so one thing, our first number one goal is to make sure what happened, what gone wrong, and we try to fix that thing and remove it, and make sure no further damage is going to happen to that thing. And third thing is, based on the logs and the samples available, we try to do a lot of reverse engineering on the source code of the payload, or the thing, whether it is a targeted attack, whether it's an individual one, whether it is somebody, we trace it back to the people. Typically, to trace it back to the person who really hacked those servers, the chances of getting those people is 50-50. Because many a time, by the time we go back to those people, they might have used somebody's else Wi-Fi connection, somebody's temporary 4G connections, and all those things. Sometimes we get into a black hole where we don't get much information, because sometimes we have to get information from Google, Microsoft. Sometimes they don't cooperate unless it is a serious threat to the country. So sometimes because of their privacy laws and all those things. But typically it is 50-50% the success of finding the person who really did this thing. But many times our goal was not to really get that guy, find them. Our goal is to basically remove the existing bad, or the thing what is going wrong in this thing, and secure it. So that
correct the technology. Just to correct it.
Because the moment we go behind those people, we found many people in Bangalore. But the problem is, there is no use. I mean, really, these are maybe school, college kids, or sometimes these are. I mean, there is nothing just catching those people and we get something great. These people bought some tools in the hack forums. These people bought some things. I mean, like the GitHub, they just bought something and trying to make some money. Like the people go and steal something on the road. These guys are on the dark web, or I mean, okay. But the goal is basically secure our, remove it, and make sure anytime next time somebody's trying to do it, we block them, and we have enough logs available for us to make sure we don't get into it. That's where we create something called SOC, Security Operations Center, and monitor 24/7 and make sure we don't uh, get these kind of things get repeated.
Thank you. Thank you.
So any more
Hello,
questions?
sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, this is Professor Priya from RV College of Engineering.
Yeah, ma'am.
I have a question on APT. So
Okay.
this attacks, as we know that it is persistent attack. So how it can be detected? Is there any detection mechanism available?
Yes, ma'am. In fact, we are going to talk very good in our upcoming sessions. We use multiple tools. I'm going to show you. I mean, even though it's a little technical, I want to show you something called proc monitor, and it's a very logical way of dissecting and finding this thing. What is persistence? Persistent is nothing but even when your system is rebooted, or even if you have some security tools, they should not detect that specific the malware, and also it should stay in the system forever. It may be creating a account, it may be keeping service. Yeah, so basically our goal is to find it. There is a very scientific methodological process is there. In fact, some of these techniques which we derived from MITRE framework, especially in the persistence column, if you look at it, you will clearly see there are, let us say, 100 checks are there. We look into the system, let us say boot. I mean, whenever a system comes, there is something called startup folder. Whatever applications are there, they automatically start. There is something called registry runtime, run keys, whatever is mentioned there, automatically those things start. Services. We have n number of places where we go and look for these places to see and make sure that those places are clean and correct. And once we go through that hundreds of checks in an automated or semi-automated way, we'll be able to figure out. And also we see a lot of things called, is there any constant network communications are happening from that system to outside world. We call it as a beacons. Every 2 minutes there is a, let us say, 2 bytes of data is going. Every 5 minutes or 1 hour, or because whenever system gets infected, they have to be in touch with the CNC control server. Every now and then, in a frequent manner, they send something called beacons. So we have multiple techniques which we'll discuss in our upcoming sessions. What methodology and scientific process we follow, and what are the tools are available also we'll talk about to make this whole process more meaningful.
Okay. Okay, sir. I have one more question.
Yes.
You were talking about tracking the hacker or attacker is always 50-50 because they may use somebody else's Wi-Fi connection and so on. So are there any tools in the industry they use to capture the IP address of maybe from which computer, which the IP address can be captured? Some of the details of the attacker or hacker that can be captured. And also want to know the fake profiles which are created is creating a lot of buzz nowadays in social media. So how those fake profiles can be tracked? So what are the tools available?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, that's exactly what we are going to talk in the, and you will get a lot of tools, techniques, processes we follow in the industry. Even though we do commercial engagements, 80% of our tool set is still we use community and freewares, because like I talked about the Kali Linux box, it has 80% of the tools what any company will use. Doesn't matter whether it is a top-notch consulting firm like Deloitte cybersecurity division or whatever it is, or a Google Labs, they all use these tools because these tools are created by security researchers for so, I mean, after so many years. In fact, these are all the entire, these things are open source tools. If you go to the GitHub, most of these tools source code is already published, and hundreds of people are contributing to those forensic incident tools, reverse engineering, and all those things. I think we'll talk about those things. And like, I mean, whatever questions you asked, some of them are, the answers are going to be there in our upcoming session. The proc monitor called sys internal tools, and the Wireshark for network analysis. We use a lot of IDS tools, and we use a lot of log monitoring tools. So basically to monitor the entire network through a centralized SOC. I think we will touch upon some of them, and at least I leave you to those places where you can take that subject to the further. And maybe I highly encourage each and every professor or the participant here create a world class cybersecurity. Because our goal is not only just to use what is existing. In fact, we should go beyond and encourage people to create some more tools on top of it. I think that's where it's not a big deal. I mean, there are like Metasploit. Metasploit is one framework which I'll talk also. We use a lot of to create
Yeah,
payloads.
and the MetaGoofin is a tool which I heard about for tracking the IP addresses. So how effectively that can be used anyway? If you have some information on that,
Yes,
you
yes,
can let
yes.
us know.
So you're
Maybe
talking
in the
about
next
Metasploit?
session.
Yes, yes, yes.
MetaGoofin?
Yeah. Sorry, ma'am. What are the tools? Can you please to say again?
MetaGoofin. GOOFIL.
Okay.
There's a tool called MetaGoofil. I think if that can be used for capturing, tracking back the person who
Correct,
hacked
correct.
or
So
attacked.
some of them
So we
are
could
basically
capture
the
the person.
header-based trackings. I mean, all those things we don't have to really download any tools. We can use online websites directly, which will parse the header and basically try to give some more information. But yeah, we will talk some of them in our upcoming sessions, because the next two sessions are especially the practical sessions. I will be just opening my virtual machine, and I'll be taking you through some of these tools and show you some of the. I recorded some things in last few days. I wanted to show you them how to create the payloads, how to create phishing stuff, and how we can do it.
So
Uh,
will you be using Kali Linux for the session?
Yes. I mean, I don't. I do have Kali Linux. Uh, in fact, I can. I do have Kali Linux last year version. Even the latest version is available. Yes, because Kali Linux is something which is a must for any cybersecurity R&D, even for day-to-day things. That is a minimum tool with thousands of tools available there, properly segmented into forensics, web application pen testing, OS, reconnaissance, everything properly been written there. I think we must use a Kali box, but I'm just going to touch upon some of these areas at a very high level, because obviously within a couple of hours we cannot become expert there. But I'm going to touch upon the areas and show you a few examples and the thought process behind it, so that you can take that one next to the next level. And in fact, we are heavily investing in our new company, a couple of crores on R&D. I highly encourage you to follow our YouTube and other things, because in fact we are starting up a very world-class R&D lab, especially in cybersecurity, where we are procuring some of these very top-notch cybersecurity, the red team related and blue team related tools, and putting in our labs for people to experience it. Especially in Hyderabad, we are going to, yeah, we are asking IIT and BITS Hyderabad and IIIT Hyderabad people to come and experience those lab things. But I highly encourage you, please follow our channels and be in touch with us. And we are going to publish a lot of 1 minute, 2 minute videos. In fact, we are also interested in taking a lot of students for internships. So I think it will be, we really believe in the energy of the students, and we will provide the platform and guidance, and so that people can really become independent consultants or can do some value addition within your colleges going forward. I think that's the whole motto. And whatever we are going to talk for next two sessions also, I think you've already seen a lot of information on forensics yesterday. And though in the forensics also lot many SANS tools are available freely, I'm sure they might have introduced you the CDAC people and the other experts who took the sessions. And from the law side, they already talked about the processes and the different limitations and the different things. I think we are going to touch upon mostly into the incident handling, forensic, reverse engineering, malware analysis, those areas.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for your
Thank you.
answers, and this is really helpful. And if, you mentioned about collaboration. If you can drop your email ID, it will be really helpful. I think we
Yeah, yeah.
have for UG and PG this course. So we have a lab set up and all, and I think if you can,
Please,
drop your
please.
email ID.
Yes, yes. So in fact, we are already running to many universities these 1 week to 10 days pure lab driven classes. We can already give the existing video records, what we have done to other universities, or we can run more similar one to your campus. Please use this email address, contact at CSCC Labs to do more. To get in to talk about those things. Our goal is to basically, again, as I said, right, it is important to collaborate with the universities because they have a lot of time. Students are there, and we know the tools are there, investments are there, so it will be a true collaboration to get something. Okay, so I think with this we try to keep this session, and we'll take a break and come back at 12 o'clock for next 1 hour session. I want to hand it over back to our coordinator.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so
Mr.
much.
Secretary. Dear participants, you have received the fabulous speech from Chandrasekhar Reddy sir, and is very technologically is a very high-weighted person and also a very hard worker. So definitely he will share all his knowledge there. And most important, pertaining to the important domains, definitely to you in the next ongoing sessions. I request you kindly to take a break and please join us back at 12 o'clock sharp. 12 o'clock sharp. Thank you very much. Sir, thank you, sir.
I'll join back again at 12 o'clock. Thank you.
Yes, sir. We are going to share new link in both WhatsApp group as well as the mail. Please join through the new link.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.